Y'all, Drake just dropped the biggest dud in 2024. He just dropped his response to Kendrick's diss record. Basically, we might as well call this fool's resignation. He went in on so many people, but ended up playing himself. Y'all, listen. TikTok is dragging Drake right now, so I wanted to compile the best of the best. But let me just say this. In what world is owning someone because you think they got essayed as a child? And that's a diss and a diss record? Have you lost your mind? What about Baka Not Nice? What about the fact that you still haven't responded to anything? Now, I don't have an 11-year-old kid. Okay, Kendra's math, it's off. But you paying $15,000 a month in child support to someone that got a 9-year-old daughter. Maybe you just being Mr. Generous. On top of that, that's your whole response. Not me making basic allegations. And then you want to clown someone because they might have been touched. Drake is out of his mind. Let's also not forget his biggest defense. Baby, he's too rich to like underage people. He's too rich to be preying on. That's your excuse? That's your excuse? Baby, you ain't as rich as Weinstein and you ain't as rich as the epilator. Jeffrey Epstein. You know what, y'all? Let's hear what TikTok got to say because, baby, oh, Drake, take your L in peace. Y'all, listen to what everybody got to say about Drake's resignation letter. Let's go.
Here are my thoughts on the brand new Drake song and Kendrick Lamar diss, The Heart Part 6. If you want to stay up to date on the latest Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef news, make sure to give me a follow. Drake just dropped a brand new song, another diss of Kendrick Lamar called The Heart Part 6. And honestly, I'm kind of on this one. Did I expect Drake to take the high road? No. Did I expect him to say some of the points that he did? Yes. But some of the ways he said some of these things just didn't help his case. First off, let's talk about the whole mother eye thing in Kendrick Lamar. Drake saying that some things happened to Kendrick Lamar. That's why he's so obsessed basically with Drake. But the thing is, what Drake mentioned happened to Kendrick Lamar isn't even the point of that song. The point of that song, if you actually listen, is it happened to his mother. So another big thing I didn't like is that Drake went into the classic playbook of saying, well, if I really did these things you said, then how come nobody's caught me yet? I'm too famous to get caught. But at the same time, Drake's smart, basically going with the narrative that, oh, all the information you got was fake and that I pretty much tricked you into saying that, which that's still, like, I don't know how I feel about that. I honestly don't believe that as well. At the same time, I honestly think Drake is going to force a Game 7 or at least a Game 5 down 3-1 with this track. But honestly, Drake should take some time and go back in the studio and cook something else up because this isn't going to sway anybody's opinions, I don't think. I still think Kendrick Lamar is winning this thing.
I don't understand the planting of information per se because he also noted that the people that Kendrick's camp is talking to are bozos or whatever the case is. And in that sense, it's like if you planted it and you meant to do it, then the agents that you had to plant it wouldn't necessarily be bozos. You know what I'm saying? Like those would be your mans who you've successfully accomplished a double cross with. So that is contradicting to me as far as what that is. And he's on the back step for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like now he's in the space of responding and kind of doing everything that Kendrick said he was doing in the sense of like now he's not necessary. He still talked about himself in there a little bit, but he's now just making sure that it's like he's denying these things. You know what I'm saying? So he's definitely on the back foot. I think what he failed to do is that he also just used things that are not necessarily, we don't know if there's proof that he beats his wife or, you know, he's living with the kids. We don't know any of that either, but he's saying it's facts. And I think that you can't do the same thing that you're asking him for proof and then you're like, nah, but what I'm saying is facts. That's like, you should show the proof up front. Like at this point in the game, Drake needs to just show the proof that it's like, yo, here's the assault report. Like facts. Like that's facts. I don't think what he's saying is actually, it's just, he said, she said. And then his energy is also low in the joint. Like his energy, he tried to be serious, but it just feels like low energy as opposed to, what Kendrick has been doing, which is assassinating him in a way that has built up energy. So I don't know. I don't think Drake has it right now.
Why is Drake in his new diss track talking about, oh, this is great exercise, got the pen work in, but he don't even write his own music? You trying to laugh that like Kendrick doing this is like, oh, haha, this is just some good exercise for me. But no, you you don't write. Like, what are you exercising your vocals when you repeat what they wrote down for you? I'm confused. Like, it's like, I get it. You've had so many hits and everything. Like, I feel you. I feel you. I'm not taking away from the hits that Drake has put out there, the things he's done. But what I'm saying is Kendrick has been a better rapper. You're trying to go to toe with somebody who is out of your league, and it just doesn't work. And now you're putting low blows out that are just insane to the depths of hell. The SA stuff. And then all the stuff he's trying to imply and then say, and then he's like, oh, well, if these things were happening, wouldn't so and so not be falling? So things like that. Like, you're trying to cast seeds it out. You're trying to say, oh, these things aren't true. The allegations that Kendrick is making about you are not true. You're saying he doesn't have any proof. He's so quick to say things and be messy. He doesn't have proof, and that y'all set this up and y'all been setting this up, and you even almost made up a fake name, but this is stuff you planted for him to say about you. That doesn't make sense. Why would you give somebody ammo to completely annihilate you and make you look stupid? That doesn't make sense. This sounds like something that you would say if you got caught up in your mess and now you're trying to make it look like you didn't. You're trying to be like, oh, I planned that. He fell for that. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I'm like, wow. And it's just crazy that the back it up is happening. The back to back is happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy. We haven't seen rap beef move like this. Like, this is insane. We're getting next day delivery, same day delivery, same hour delivery, like same 30-minute delivery at one point with Kendrick the other day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is getting insane. So, whew, y'all. But let me know who y'all got in the comments.
What do these guys have against dropping at, I don't know, for like 5 p.m.? Something to chew on over dinner. It's Sunday. Come on, bro. First listen, I'm going to keep this analysis pretty short and big picture. First of all, beyond bar for bar wordplay, there's a lot less to analyze in Drake's responses than there is in Kendrick's responses. And I think that's indicative of a larger schism between the two of them, where, for instance, Drake's music at its best, especially his rapping, sounds like a really well-made Rolex. Clearly, attention to detail, craftsmanship, a lot of skill put into it, and aesthetic value as well. But it's like, if you ask yourself, what is the purpose of this Rolex watch, you're going to arrive at two conclusions. One, it's to mark the current moment. It's to mark time. And two, it's to be sold. It's like a commercial product that happens to have artistic value. Whereas Kendrick's music, especially over the course of this beef, has felt more like art that happens to have product and commercial value at times, and at other times isn't concerned with that at all. I think the analogy of the Rolex watch is really useful because it's kind of tied to these ideas of nationless class, jet setting, wealth where you have 5 passports and you're never going to jail, and you spend all your time in the parts of every city that look like every other city with the glass buildings and the cheesecake factories and the Saks Fifth and the Gucci store. And it's just like, you look at this watch and you're like, this is beautiful, but like, I have no idea where the fuck this is from. Whereas if there's a painting that's worth $1 million, maybe the commercial value of it's crazy, but it's still like, yeah, I know what style this is. I know all the history and the context. That's kind of how this last two set of songs feels for me between Drake and Kendrick. Again, this is just me keeping it to the mechanics of rap right now. I feel like technical skill gets you to a certain height. It's almost like technical skill is this process of building your own skyscraper or climbing the floors in a skyscraper, whichever you prefer. It's this long and arduous process of getting your 10,000 hours till you're at this skill level. But then when you get to the roof of the Empire State Building, the next step in the process is to jump off the building and go fly. And that's the kind of immaterial stuff I was talking about in another video. Because in another video, I was talking about the fact that Drake is a technically proficient rapper. He's very good at songwriting, and I think people don't want to give him this credit for that because they don't like him. I don't make that conflation. He's a really wonderful songwriter. Yeah, he has ghostwriters, but he also ghostwrites for hella people. That's his strength, songwriting. but I think his skill shines through in a very technical way. Whereas Kendrick has the technicality, he also has his 10,000 hours, but he has jumped off of the skyscraper. He went through the empirical stages and went to the qualitative stages, the feeling stages, the soul music stages. And that's a place that Drake thus far has shown us he struggles to go to. Maybe he can hover off the ground a little bit, and when he's on top of the Empire State Building, it looks even more impressive, but he's not really just soaring out there. And I think that's one of the areas where Kendrick can go in this beef that Drake can't. And I think that creates complications for Drake because he kind of has to double down on this tough gangster aesthetic. Like, because he has that emotional range, Kendrick can display that he takes what he's accusing Drake and his associates of very, very seriously, and then switch to making light of them in a way that doesn't feel like he's making light of the thing, he's making light of them. Drake doesn't have the emotional range to show that he takes the things he's talking about seriously. So when he makes this accusation that Kendrick was violent against Whitney, it just doubles down on the tone deafness and the enemies he's creating through all of these disses. Like, why did Malaysia catch a stray in this? Why did you bring Malaysian Airlines in? That was a travesty. Like, what? It just shows that he thinks the character he's playing isn't capacious enough for empathy and the range of emotions that all humans feel when it comes to talking about serious things. And so he doesn't display that, and it falls flat. Literally, the character he's portraying falls flat in this context, or rather, the flatness of it is exposed. Also, based on how repetitive all the accusations are, it seems like he's out of dirt, which is a problem for him more so than it is for Kendrick, because it just feels super evident that he doesn't actually give a crap about the contents of the things he's claiming. It's just the fact that is something that can be weaponized against Kendrick and his camp. And while there are things hanging in the air on both sides, there's a lot hanging in the air in regards to Kendrick and the accused domestic violence against his wife, girlfriend, longtime partner, and the accusations from Kendrick against Drake. There's a lot more evidence on Kendrick's side about Drake and his associates, legal and otherwise, than there is the other way around, which is not to say that that's not a thing. I kind of feel like it is, again, based off We Cry Together and some other things. I feel like Mr. Morale was Kendrick dealing with his fallibility as it relates to his public image and the potential of being scorned or ostracized publicly for falling short of the image that he presents. In addition to the city of Atlanta, the state of California, the descendants of all African American enslaved people, and half of the music industry, Drake then decides to add the victims of abuse at large to his list of new enemies by asserting that Kendrick is completely projecting, and the only reason he's bringing up PDF files is because he was assaulted by an adult as a child. It wasn't the bar he thought it was. It's, again, like that in conversation with the Malaysia Airlines, in conversation with the Bobby and Whitney, in conversation with the slaves. It's like, you're not beating the tone deaf allegations. That's for sure. That's for sure. He also doubles down on the Dave Free being the father of Kendrick's child, which, again, if that is the case, it seems like they must have worked that out internally somehow, because Kendrick left his previous label situation to work with Dave Free on PG Lang as a partnership. They're about to drop a cell phone together, and they basically go everywhere together in public. So, whatever that is, clearly it's been worked out. And it seems unlikely that Drake would find out that one of Kendrick's kids is not his before Kendrick did, or Dave Free. Yeah, that just seems unlikely. But yeah, to be clear, this is Drake pulling off the top shelf liquor. Like, that's also what it feels like. Like, his best rapping feels like top shelf liquor. It's like the elegant packaging, the sleekness, it's supposed to be sexy. It's like high class and refined. But it also feels like a failed approximation of soulfulness, which I think is something you also find in a lot of these dark liquor brands that are top shelf. Where it's like, it's supposed to feel like rich legacy vibes, but it still feels like I'm being sold something. Like, you smell the perfume of the retail store as this thing is being handed to you. So yeah, I don't even, oh my God, bro, I see why people think I look like a woman. Oh shit, this has nothing to do with anything. I just looked at my own face. I was like, I look like a girl.
Honestly, Aubrey could have kept that response. He was waving the white flag and crying on the beat. He tried to say that Kendrick just repeats stuff that he sees on the internet. Aubrey, the call is coming from inside the house, because everything you were saying in there just sounded like stuff you read off Twitter and TikTok. And him saying that he leaked the information and that there was no mole was crazy, because why would you want people to associate your name with being a P word. Why would you even fake something like that about yourself? Like last night when Kendrick dropped, like it was so exciting. It was a moment. This new song that Drake dropped, The Heart Part 6, is just so unexciting. Aubrey, you could have kept that.